right. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Rock and Roll Ghost podcast. This week we have Nicol Paone. She's the director of the upcoming film The Kill Room, opening in theaters September 29th. Stars Samuel Jackson, Joe Manganiello, and Uma Thurman. Welcome to the show, Nicol. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing good. Well, tell me a little bit about how the film first came to be.
Yeah, so way back in the 90s, when Sam and Uma were doing a movie called Pulp Fiction, I was working on Wall Street. And it was later when I made the movie with a buddy from Wall Street who financed it and a buddy from Wall Street who sent me the script. And so in 2019, an old friend reached out with the script and I loved it. The only thing that for me, wanting to make it was 180 pages. And I kind of knew that no one would ever make an indie film for, with 180 pages. And so I developed the script with Jonathan Jacobson for about 2 years. And we got it to a place where we were comfortable sending it out. And I had worked with some friends in they did the movie Chick Fight, and I watched them put some movies together, and I thought, maybe they would like to help me make this movie, and they said yes. Jonathan asked me if I would produce it, because we were, it gets stalled in the development process when they're out making other movies, and so he asked me to produce it in 2021. In August, I signed on to produce it. And I mean, I'm not patting myself on the back or anything, but by November 2021, Uma Thurman was signed on board. She said yes. And I had been relentlessly bugging her manager, who was I didn't realize she was Uma's manager at the time. She's an old friend. She's a partner at Untitled, Danielle Thomas. And I had been begging her to read the script for about a year because I knew she would love it, like the sensibilities. She's an art collector and she's got New York clients on Broadway. I just knew she would love it, and she did. And then lo and behold, Uma was my first choice. She said, "This is Uma Thurman." And I had no idea that she repped Uma Thurman.
Yeah, that's crazy.
2 weeks later, I was sitting down with Uma for lunch, and she had said, that she had been looking for a project like this for a long time. And she said yes, right at the lunch.
It's awesome. Yeah, she Uma's been a little more selective, it seems, lately than not that she just took anything, but she's been a little quieter over the last several years from what I could tell, unless they're...
Yeah, well, I think she had a daughter, and I think it was really important to her to spend time with her and really select projects that, resonated with her and were well written, and which I believe The Kill Room is. It was just such a funny, acerbic script, and getting to develop it with Jonathan was... that was a high point for me. It's really fun when you're just two people in a room working on something, and then of course the 500 other crew members come later, but there's really something nice about the solitude of working with somebody developing, and then the solitude of working with somebody editing.
If you could just give a brief description of the plot of the film so people understand what they're looking for.
So Uma Thurman plays an acerbic art dealer who's in a little bit of trouble. Samuel Jackson plays a bakery owner who they launder money through his bakery, and Joe Manganiello works for Sam, and he's a hitman, a reluctant hitman, if you will. And through their drug dealer, they get a hold of this painting, and they realize Uma's in trouble, and they start laundering money through her art gallery.
Gotcha.
That's all supposed to be very quiet, and it kind of blows up due to an over aggressive assistant, and she starts telling everybody about the bagman, and he blows up into an internet avant-garde sensation in the art world, and everybody wants a bagman piece, and so they're in a little bit of a bind because he's blowing up in the art world, but they need to keep it quiet. So
Right, makes sense. When did you actually film the movie?
we shot this last year in 2022 in New York, New Jersey, and Miami. And making New York, New Jersey look like New York was tricky, but I think we did a good job of it. Tax credits, so we had to shoot in New Jersey, but I think for the most part we sell it pretty well.
Yeah. How long was the shoot for?
It was a 5-week shoot. We got an extra shoot day due to we got rained out and we had a COVID issue. I just kept saying to myself during the shooting, like, when I'm on the tech scout in Miami, because we had 2 days in Miami at the end, I can relax, and there we were in Miami, just figuring out exterior shots at the convention center, sunny, beautiful. And my producer walks up to me and says, Joe has COVID.
Yeah.
And from that moment till the time we left Florida was absolutely insane. I had to rewrite the ending. Uma wasn't going to come down because how could we shoot the ending without Joe? So her flight switches. She gets caught in a lightning storm. She doesn't even make it till the next day. We have to rewrite everything. It was really it was a very trying experience.
Yeah. What was the hardest besides, well, that sounds like that was a pretty hard experience.
Yeah.
Would you say that was the worst moment on the set?
Oh, there were a lot of them. I would say, yeah, from the moment my producer walked up to me and said, Joe's COVID, I had to rewrite the ending, and then we got rained out, and then I had to rewrite the ending again, and then we had to do reshoots in New Jersey and make it look like Miami. I would say definitely in Miami.
Yeah.
There's so many. We were on a boat, and then we had to shoot the back of stand-ins' heads and figure out a way we could get them to talk but without talking, and it was tricky. There's one scene in there that's kind of it's shoehorned in because of the lack of an ending that we had at the time, and we're using the back of stand-ins' heads and the front of Joe and Uma in New Jersey, and different boats because we couldn't get the boat in Miami. It was pretty tricky.
Yeah. So a lot of that came down to editing, I would imagine.
Yeah, editing and reimagining the ending, and having to shoot within your means, like we all do.
Yeah. Was this I know you've directed some other things, but is this the biggest production you've handled?
Yes. By far.
Okay. Besides the biggerness and and all that, what are the main differences between shooting this and shooting some other work you've done?
Well, my first project was in a house, so what I loved about that was it was really contained, and my editor was editing along with me, so she could help me, get insert shots, or we could go back, and I really love the process. I think that the more time, right? It's like the more time you have to take a look at something and go, oh, it'd be nice if, and then to be able to go out and get it. Sure. Yeah. With the kill room, I think the biggest thing was the various locations that we had to do 3D models, and we had to do a build. And my production designer, Maita Neves Perez, she was brilliant. She had to build Art Basel in a very contained space, which Art Basel isn't. And so that was the trickiest thing for me in really honing in on the vision of what we wanted Art Basel to be. Like, she had to build certain rooms and boxes and corridors, and to make it look like we're in the back room, but we're not. That's actually the front wall of what we're seeing. And to design something like that was challenging, but it was fun. I mean, I had, you work 16 hours a day, 17 hours a day, but you don't really feel like it, because it's all pretty exciting.
Yeah. You talked about getting Uma. How did you get Joe and Sam? How did that all work out?
Yeah, so the character was originally written, the Sam character, Gordon, it was originally written as a Herschel. He was a 72-year-old Jewish man. And when Uma signed on, her first thought was, is Sam Jackson an option? And I said, absolutely. Imagine if I said, no, I don't think. And so we rewrote the script for Sam, for him to play the Black Dreidel and make Bialys. Like, the thought was like, why couldn't he, be this guy?
Right.
He grew up in a place around Jewish people, and that's how he survived,
Yeah.
And so Jonathan and I, in one day, rewrote the script for more catered towards Sam. And over the holiday break, Sam read it. And the first business week of 2022, I got a call from Sam's agent, and he said, Sam would love to do your film. He loves the idea. And that sort of blew my mind. And then through the process, through pre-production, we found Joe, and Joe was just perfect. He was absolutely perfect. And I loved working with that man.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks he's like these characters he plays, and he's really not. He's such a film nerd and a theater nerd, and he went to Carnegie Mellon. And so I think his performance in this will change some of those minds.
Yeah, no, I like Joe a lot, actually.
He's an incredible guy.
Yeah. And getting Sam, I mean, I know he's done a couple of smaller things, but I mean, he's kind of, Nick Fury.
Kind of a big deal, right? Yeah. I don't know.
Point, he's got to, he seems like this is kind of cool that he's doing something a little bit less, big screen.
Yeah. Well, he really, his people said that he really loved the writing, and he doesn't really get to do stuff like this. And so, right after that, he went and did Broadway with his wife. And I think, maybe being on those bigger sets, like you don't really get to play as much. And I just tried to.
Well, I'm sure he's at a point where he could say, look, if I just want to do what I want to do at this point, then
of course,
I'm sure he's going to be able to.
He has done over 170 movies. And he was like teasing me at one point. He was like, this is your second movie? He's like, it's my second movie this year. And I was like, all right, okay. So
he does work a lot.
He was precise. He's a brilliant man. I learned a lot. And we had him on the first week. And so I was like, it's Sam Jackson. Like, let's start off the shoot with Sam, let's get that energy in there and get it going. I don't know if I would go back and do that, because like the first day, of course, there's always like kinks and things with production, and the parking lots weren't open. And so that first day was a bit challenging, but hey, Sam was a gentleman too. Like he made sure that Uma got everything that he got, and everything was equal, and I think that's really important.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
What's the release looking like? I mean, how many theaters are you looking at?
Yeah, so we're starting out in 350 theaters, and just theaters only, no day and date. It will be released on SVOD in November. And so if the movie does well, the theaters will expand. Hopefully it does. And then it will be on Stars in February.
Okay. What cities initially are getting the movie?
You know, they haven't told me yet. I'm not sure.
Okay.
The major ones, I'm sure, but yeah, they haven't told me.
Okay. All
And
right.
working with Shout has been really great. They're a lot of fun. They're really hands-on, and they're very collaborative with me and my team, and so it's been fun to plan.
That's great. What are you working on next, or is there something? I mean, I understand the other, but was there something you were working on before all this nonsense happened?
I have a
and I don't mean nonsense. I just mean like before the whole industry went upside down.
Yeah, of course. I have a script called Bulldog Barb that stars Edie Patterson from the Righteous Gemstones.
Okay.
And so she's attached to that right now. And we went out with it a little bit before the script. So we'll see. Hopefully people are reading it. I guess they can read now. I'm not sure if anyone's reading, but it's a
tricky situation right now.
It's a tricky situation. It also feels weird to even promote this movie. You know, I'm in SAG, I'm in the WGA, and it blows my mind, because the bottom line is there's enough money to go around.
Yeah.
There just is. So this crying poor, but yet when you do well, you know, you want to wave your victory flag at the other guy who's the other CEO, and it's like
which story is the true one?
Right. And we know what one's the true one, because they get $25 million bonuses, and I'm like, dude, can you just get a $15 million bonus? How about $20 million bonus? You know, I worked on Wall Street in my early 20s. I know what the bottom line is there. And like, there's a gray area here that I think the entire world needs to fit into. It's we creatives over here and you business people over here. And you just stay in your little hole and create your things, and we'll take care of the business. It's like, no, we all know what's going on. Yeah. And
well, like, it was always lopsided, but it was never this lopsided.
Right. And it's happened before. It happened with HBO in 1988 and like the cable stuff. And it's like, look, you want new business ventures, and you want, you know, especially in entertainment, look how, you know, content has exploded, but not at the, like, they know that they can't, nobody's going to go see David Zaslav, the movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on. What do you, like, why? It makes no sense. It's just ego. It's just ego.
Yeah, I've seen people, and I won't name a name. I don't think they're in any of the guilds, but they're in the industry, and they're pretty vehement against this idea that I don't know why. I haven't talked to them about it, but they're posting about it on social media. So without revealing their name, I can at least, you know, generalize. And he made the, I don't want to even say it because that will reveal who it is, but there are just some ideas. It's like, well, you know, I guess this one thing was, why doesn't everybody on the set get, you know, residuals? And as we just saw this week, the effects house at Marvel is wanting to unionize. And so, in my opinion, I'm a big fan of the unions. I'm in my early 50s. I remember when Reagan, did everything he could to bust the unions, and we could see what's happened over the years since. They've just gotten worse and worse. And people have gotten the idea that somehow unions are bad. And I don't know if it's the propaganda of corporations and government.
Sure.
That it has made it so.
I mean, look at Amazon. Like,
Yeah.
if people weren't taken advantage of, people wouldn't want to unionize.
Right.
That's the bottom line. And so I'm competitive. I'm an athlete. I'm all for capitalism, but you can't get rid of the people who create the product. And eventually the people who create the product, especially at today's day and age, are going to learn to create the product without you.
Yeah. Well, and then there's instances where, albeit it's a smaller studio, A24 worked out a deal.
Yeah.
It could make films. So in the interim, the smaller studios may be the breaking point where they just make their own deals. Screw it. Just
right.
we'll
And I want to say to the studios is like, you guys just saw what happened at the Oscars. Do you really want A24 to have a head start?
Yeah. I'm starting to worry about the rest of this year, quite frankly.
Yeah, I think
it feels like it's going on for a while.
I think that last meeting and that trick that they pulled was dirty.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you ask for a blackout, but then the owner of Deadline, who is in the AMPTP, releases an article during the meeting that already has 150 comments on it in like a half hour. Like, and all of the comments were anti-union. Like, come on, guys. Like, stop with the games. Like, just sit down at the table and work it out.
Yeah.
But the problem is they're not even at the table. They're sending their, the people under them. Bob Iger doesn't sit down at the table.
Right.
Just sit down at the table and work it out, gentlemen.
Yeah.
And I say gentlemen because it's mostly gentlemen. So, but I'm sure there are women in there as well.
Yeah. Well, one thing, and I don't know how much you could talk about this exactly, because I haven't seen the terms. Maybe I just didn't look in the right place, but the directors were able to put together a deal. Was that deal much less complicated from your standpoint than what's going on with actors and writers?
I think the sticking point is AI. And so directors, now don't quote me.
Right.
Or, directors.
You believe.
I believe one of the sticking points is AI. And so actors, obviously, and writers, they don't want AI written scripts, and they don't want to sell their digital imaging, for
and in theory, you can't have AI actually direct.
Right.
I mean, there's no indication it can. Right.
Oh, they're gonna try, but like,
sure.
Yeah.
And
so I think I think AI is a major sticking point. There are a few others with,
the studios would have you believe it's more about the residuals and the money than it is about AI. That's their, I guess, propaganda, is that rich actors are asking for too much money, but they're avoiding the AI debate.
Right. And that may very well be true. Like, maybe they don't get 20 million, maybe you get 15 and allow the rest.
But the thing is those are different contracts. The main thing that everybody's talking about with actors especially is the working class actor, the guy that just shows up for one line or stands in the background. I mean, the whole idea of the studios wanting to just take old footage of background actors and just plug them in anywhere is is completely ludicrous.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at least pay them, but each time, but if you do that, then, you know, there's a lot of other people that will suffer the costume, you know, you need extra costume people, and look, there has to be, you have to draw the line, right, somewhere, but
I think everybody, I think the fights right now are great. I think Hollywood is actually doing a great job in promoting unionization
I
and
agree.
getting the word out, because I think we need more of it, not less of it. That's my opinion.
100%. Like, you look at, I mean, I obviously I stay for the credits of every movie, and it's like the fact that those at the top really get the recognition and the money, and you need every single human being on that set, and you need them to be at their best. And oftentimes the hardest working people are the ones who get paid the least. Like, they're having these days that, but you need them. And I mean, they say there's a job for every personality on set, and they're right, but you need every personality. Like, that's the world we're living in. And I hate, I'm not a kumbaya person, but my God, sit down at the table and work it out. Like, there's just so much divisiveness, and it's just, it's a shame, because
Yeah.
Hollywood is about making movies and making content and creating, and you can't, I don't know where it shifted, where the business people run. I mean, it's always kind of been that way, but
The businessmen are getting more attention these days than ever.
ever
don't
and
get.
ever. And even the articles of like, well, you know, he discovered Will Ferrell. I'm like, I'm sorry, Will Ferrell discovered Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell put himself up there, and yeah, you need agents, and you need managers, and you need all these people, but like, I'm tired of like creatives being treated like, you know, we're these like babies in a corner that can't do anything without, you know, the guidance of the businessman. And it's,
Yeah, I hear you.
we're
I hear
smarter
you.
than that. We're a
Definitely,
lot smarter than that. So,
definitely. Well,
and
no,
yeah,
go ahead.
we'll figure it out. It'll all get figured out.
Yeah.
One
Well,
way or
Nicole, I wanted to thank you for being on the show today. It was an enlightening conversation. I'm glad we were able to touch on the union stuff. The Kill Room is debuting in theaters on September 29th. Go see it in the theater, and then we'll have to see what you have coming up next when all this
Yeah.
hopefully ends for the well, for the better.
Yes.
All right. Thank you
All
very
right.
much again, Nicole. You have a good rest of your day.
You're so welcome. Hey, did they, we're done, right?
Yeah. I can cut after this. Yeah.
Oh, great. Did they send you the movie?
I believe I have it. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
Okay.
Okay. Take care, Brett.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye.